you're going to do it conversation style.
Yeah.
Okay. So where are you going to be then?
I'm going to be over here.
Are you going to flip it the whole time?
No. I'm just introducing you.
Oh,
So
okay. And then you're going to...
turn it on
Okay.
me. Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody, this is Minky from South Africa. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm so amazed to be here today to have an interview with Richard.
So Minky flew here from South Africa. She's our top team leader in South Africa. And she's here for a few days before we all go to Salt Lake City. So Minky wanted to interview me. And as you probably noticed, maybe you haven't noticed, but I haven't done my daily dose of salt yet today. So I thought, what a great opportunity. I'm going to turn Minky's interview into my daily dose of salt. One of the things I want to tell you about Minky and coming here is, so Kimmy and she arranged the flights and everything. I didn't have anything to do with it. And so after she got here, I asked her, I said, so Minky, what is the flight from South Africa to Lanai? That has to be a long way, right? So she said, well, actually, it was a beautiful flight, right?
It was.
It was a Delta nonstop from Johannesburg to Atlanta.
16 hours.
That's just crazy. And then you had a layover in Atlanta, and you had a Delta nonstop to Honolulu. And how long was that?
9 hours.
9 hours. And then you had Lanai Air,
Yes.
which was your first private flight ever.
That was I felt like a celebrity.
Yeah, and that was only 25 minutes. And so that's how you get from Johannesburg to Lanai. And so Minky's trying to get Kimmy and I. Kimmy's already been to South Africa once or twice?
Once.
Once, yes. And Minky's trying to get me to go to South Africa. And the bar's pretty high if you're going to get me on those two flights. So Minky wanted to interview me about network marketing. So that's my first caveat, is if you're not interested in network marketing today, which I know a lot of you aren't, then you can just go do something else. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Today's interview is, I think, about network marketing and personal development and whatever she wants to ask. And so I can't get this thing to get both of us in the camera, so it's just going to be me. And Minky will be right over there. And so, but you'll be able to hear her easy enough. Mm-hmm. And you'll be able to hear me. And you'll be able to hear the golfers right behind the hedge who are having a whale of a good time. So, Minky.
We're ready.
Fire away. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, so first of all, I want to start by thanking you. You have had such a huge impact on my life. It first started with your book, The 4-Year Career, but then there's lots more. Momentum Masterclass, and then also, obviously, your Road to Diamond interviews that I've been listening to. Very profound, and so that's why I can learn from the best when you do interviews. There's one question that you always start with, and that is, so Richard, who were you and what were you doing before you ever started doing network marketing?
I've told that story so many times, thousands and thousands of times, that I just assume everybody who knows me at all knows that story. And it actually occurred to me a couple of days ago that I haven't told that story in a long time. So there might be a lot of people that follow me that don't know that story. I won't tell it all today, but I'll answer your question. Who was I and what was I doing? Which is part of the matrix of telling your story. Who was I? Well, before network marketing, I worked at a place called Foster Farms, which was a chicken processing plant. And I was a supervisor. And supervisors have white hats. And if you're a foreman, you have a blue hat. And if you're a superintendent, you have a red hat. And so it goes foreman, supervisor, superintendent. So I was a supervisor.
So you wanted to go for that red hat.
Yes, I was going for the red hat for sure. And I'd been at Foster Farms 4 years, and actually a bit of trivia. The guy who got me the job at Foster Farms was one of my best friends, Steve Spalding. And Steve passed away about 14 years ago. But his wife, his widow, just arrived today. That's Susan.
Oh, yes. Okay.
She just arrived today from Minneapolis. And her son and Steve's son, AJ, lives here on Lanai. And so it's kind of a old home week, at least for the next 2 days. So that's what I was doing. And who was I? That's probably the better question. Who was I? Introverted, cynical, negative, selfish, argumentative, definitely not a people person, definitely not an optimist, definitely not a business person. So
Okay.
I always find that that's a valuable perspective, because who I am today is the opposite of all of that, which speaks to transformation. Because a lot of people think, I am who I am and I can't change. I don't want to change. I like myself just the way I am. And that's fine. I liked myself just the way I was too. But who I wasn't going to get me the life I wanted.
Exactly.
So change was in order.
So you really had almost every excuse in the book not to do network marketing, but yet you chose the model. So why was that?
Well, that's an interesting question. Why did I choose network marketing as the model? So it wasn't a simple choice. So part of it was that, so Steve, who got me the job at the chicken plant, he got involved in network marketing before I did. And he started calling me, asking me to take a look. And I wasn't in at least bit interested at all. The whole idea of making a lot of money just didn't seem real to me. It didn't seem authentic to me. What was authentic to me was work 60 hours a week for $1,200 a month.
Okay.
And drive an old beater pickup truck and live in a $21,000 house. That's what I paid. No, I paid $11,000 for my first house. So the idea of making a lot of money, here's the dichotomy. I wasn't interested in making a lot of money, and yet I would do just about anything at the chicken plant to impress my bosses enough for maybe $100 raise.
Okay.
$100 raise to me made sense. Making Steve was painting this idea of making 5 times as much money as I was making at the chicken plant. And that just didn't make any sense to me. And so I said no. And then, of course, the whole idea of business and going to a meeting where people I didn't know, the whole idea, it was all like, hype. And I just wasn't interested in any of that.
Do you think it was the hype that more, or do you think there was maybe hidden blind spots in your belief system that you were not perhaps aware of? Like, it's not a lot of money, and you can't say Richard and a lot of money in the same sentence.
Yes. And, that's a very sophisticated way to look at it, hidden blind spots, but it just wasn't me. Mm-hmm. Who I was a meager amount of money for a lot of work. Mm-hmm. That's who I was. I was not comfortable in the realm of earning a lot of money. Mm-hmm. If somebody would have come to me and said, hey, I have this business idea, and if you'll invest $5,000 and I'll invest $5,000 and let's start this company and we can become multimillionaires, I would have had the same response. Not interested. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to do that. That's not me. I'm not any good at that. That's too risky. It's just who I was. Mm-hmm. But, So the original question was, what had me consider network marketing? Well, something happened, which oftentimes does. So in my career, I have asked thousands and thousands and thousands of people to look at network marketing, and most of them have said no. And then many of them, months later, even years later, have said yes. Why? Because circumstances changed for them. Mm-hmm. Something changed where now it made sense to look at something different. And the thing that changed for me was Foster Farms. It had nothing to do with Steve calling me or network marketing. It was just Foster Farms changed their personnel policy. They hired a guy named Earl Tooker, who had a master's degree in poultry husbandry. I can't even imagine there is such a thing. So this guy went to school for, 6 years to study chickens or turkeys or whatever. And wow, that's weird, right? So he took over Foster Farms, and he decided, since he was really big on education, that anybody who was going to be a superintendent or above, red hat or above, had to have a 4-year degree in college. And I didn't have any college. I cheated to get out of high school. I'd never stepped foot on a college campus as a student.
So there goes the dream of the red hat.
The dream of the red hat was gone.
And that's when you decided to look.
I didn't decide to look at network marketing then. I just happened to go by Steve's house a few weeks later, and he was he was celebrating his first commission check, and his hair was cut, and he was in a suit. He usually wore cutoffs and a t-shirt and barefoot and hair down to his shoulders, and his hair was cut, and he was in a 3-piece suit, and he, was celebrating his first commission check, and he had 4 or 5 guys around with him that were doing this with him, and so it wasn't the money, it was this is something powerful, that it would change Steve in this way. That intrigued me. Who are these people, and what is this environment that's having that kind of positive impact on Steve? Because without some kind of positive impact on Steve, he quit the chicken plant a couple of years earlier, and he was driving a forklift at the Ragu spaghetti sauce factory, and he was on unemployment half the time, and he was, it's no secret, he was an original gig entrepreneur. He was a independent, self-employed pharmaceutical rep.
Okay. I get it.
You get it? Which a lot of people in California in the 70s were. And so where would Steve's life have gone without getting involved in network marketing? I don't know, but I was intrigued with the impact. So I said, okay, Steve, show me. And all Steve showed me was he just showed me the circles. He says, okay, you start here, and he says, you get 5 people to do this, and they each get 5 people to do this, and they each get 5 people to do this, and they each get 5 people to do this, and everybody's using or selling $100 a month worth of product, and you add all those $100 up, and you get paid a commission on all of that, and you make all this money. And it didn't make any sense at all to me, like none. I was of the paradigm that if there was a product and there was money to be made, what I was supposed to do is sell a bunch of the product. And the more money I wanted to make, the more product I needed to sell. Which is kind of that is the direct selling paradigm. But network marketing is a totally different paradigm. It's a totally different model. It is, okay, you use the product, I use the product, and I may sell some product. And
if you want to.
Well,
really
everybody
to.
sells a little bit of product.
Yeah.
But I get you to use the product, and sell some, and you get people to use the product and sell some. And the way I generate sales volume and income is not by how much I sell, but how much the whole team sells. And the team grows exponentially because everybody can recruit somebody else to the team. That's a simple way of explaining it. But as Steve showed it to me on the yellow pad, on his bed, I just looked at it and I thought, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And he said, well, come to the meeting. There's a meeting. So I said, okay, I'll go to the meeting. And I was still working at the chicken plant. So I went to that particular company, was very aggressive in that local market, Merced, California. And they had meetings Monday through Thursday, 4 nights a week. And then every Saturday they had an all-day training. And so I would leave the chicken plant and I would go straight to the meeting. And I would sit there and I had rubber boots up to my knees. I wore corduroys or Levi's to work at the chicken plant, and they had dried chicken fat stuck to them.
Oh my word.
Yeah, because the chicken fat's flying all day long. And so I sat in the meeting kind of with my arms crossed and chicken fat stuck to me. And the guys that were presenting this meeting, they were driving Porsches and they had all that kind of stuff going on. But I did not understand it at all. I did not understand how is this a right way to sell a product? I just didn't understand it. So, but here's what made the difference. I kept coming back. I went to every meeting for 3 weeks, 4 nights a week, and every Saturday. Why? I wanted to understand it. And I wanted to be impacted by the energy of these people. These people had positive, inspiring, sincere, authentic, real soul and heart. And what they were all about was, if you want a better life, not that you should have a better life, not that there's anything wrong with your life, but if you want a better life, we'll teach you how to get it. Not just from network marketing, but we'll teach you how to change as a human being. And they just talked about this, and they represented this, and they told their story. One of the guys he was like the VP of training, Kurt Robb, who had the most impact on myself and Steve, used to work in a phone factory for Ma Bell in Oklahoma, in the factory, just putting phones together. And he got out of that through network marketing. And just the way he told his story and what it meant to him to get out of the factory and live an abundant life, and a life where he could help other people and travel the world and have unlimited upside financially, that inspired me. And I wanted to be around those people. I wanted to learn what those people knew. And so I kept going back. And then one day, somebody, I don't know who it was, one of the people, I kind of think it was a guy named Dan Austin. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure it was Dan. And oftentimes Donna watches this broadcast. So Donna, that's your husband. Dan was doing, back in those days, which would be 1977, it was a presentation on a chalkboard. So Dan was doing the money presentation. And the same thing, you get 5 people and they each get 5, that's 25. And they each get 5, that's 125. And they each get 5, that's 625. And they each get 5, and it's 3125. And everybody's doing $100 a month in sales. And you earn 5% or 10%. And then, and the grand finale was you earn $60,000 a year part-time. And after watching this presentation dozens of times, I don't know how many times I watched Dan do it, but Dan did it that night. And it just dawned on me. This won't make any sense at all, but this is how my brain processed it. What I got that night was, okay, I get this. If I'm going to be successful in this, It doesn't have anything to do with me. Because I can't sell this stuff. And I can't recruit people. And I don't know how to make money. And I'm not a business person. So if it is to me, if it is to be, it can't be up to me because I can't do this. And in fact, if it's to be from the people that I know, like my friends, they can't do it either. Which didn't make any sense because some of my closest friends were already doing it. But I just felt like the people I knew wouldn't want to do this. But what I got from Dan's presentation is, if I was going to make $5,000 a month, it wasn't what I did. It wasn't even from what the people I sponsored did. It was from the second generation, the third generation, the fourth generation, the fifth. That's where you make a lot of money. And when it dawned on me, wow, I could make all this money from people I don't even know. And
Wow.
people I don't even know, that sounds,
And they'll go out and just do it.
for some reason, right? Of course, if somebody was interviewing me, they would have said, well, Richard, don't you have to get the first 5? And I just didn't think about that. All I thought about was the third and fourth and fifth generation.
So
And
you
so-
saw the bigger picture.
Yes, that's what it didn't make any sense, really. Probably why did I join? Because I went to every meeting for 3 weeks, and they sucked me into the cult. So I went back to the chicken plant and tried to recruit everybody, including the guy who ran the whole chicken plant.
And was that a good idea?
He fired me. Nicely.
Because you were trying to recruit him?
Everybody.
Oh.
Everybody. I lost my mind. And with enthusiasm. And tried to recruit everybody. And Mike Hoyt said, probably best you go. I said, Mike, you got to come with me. I sat in his office, his posh office. He didn't have any chicken fat on him. I sat in his posh office and I said, Mike, you got to come with me. We're going to get rich.
And do you know where he is today?
I have lunch with Mike a couple of times a year.
And now you laugh about the story.
Oh, we do have a great time about it. He's come to visit me in a couple of different places that I live and played golf. But yes, we have a great time with that story.
So you understanding now how the model works, was that the inspiration behind writing the 4-year career?
Well, yes and no. So I wrote the 4-year career I didn't write the book until actually 2010, but I created the concept in 1979. So I got involved in 1977 full time. I completely failed. Just failed miserably. Couldn't get anybody involved. Everybody got involved, quit. And in fact, 9 months after I started, that company went out of business. But we all kind of stuck together, and we joined another company that got the rights to the product we were selling. So we kept the same product, but we had to change companies. We had to start all over. So the first 9 months, I failed miserably. The second year and a half, I failed miserably in the second company, and I ended up moving to different places. People said, "Well, if you move to this state, it'll be easier." And I had 2 cars actually at one point, and they were both repossessed. And I had to sell my home. And I ended up living on my sister's couch in El Paso, Texas. And she was a flight attendant, so when she flew, I would take her to the airport, and then I would drive her car all around and do meetings and try to recruit people. Then when she came home from her trip, I would just lay on her couch for 3 or 4 days and watch TV, because I didn't have any way to get around. And at the lowest of the low point, I moved to Des Moines, Iowa. The owner of the company loaned me a car. And I sponsored a guy named Jerry Shaw. That's a whole different story. But why did I write the 4-year career? Well, the concept started because I wanted to recruit a bunch of college kids. Drake University in Des Moines. I just had this idea, these poor kids, even though I didn't go to college, I know what happens to most kids. They go freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, then they're all clamoring to get a job with whoever will offer them a job in their degree. And then they take that job. And not so much today, for sure, but in the 70s, when you took a job with a big company right out of college, that's it. Stick a fork in your butt, you're done, you're stuck. Wherever you go to work, that's where you're going to raise your family. Mm-hmm. That's where you're going to retire 30 or 40 years later. That's going to be your life.
That's true.
And so I had this idea to pitch to these freshmen, marketing majors. Work with me while you're a freshman. You may not make any money at all your first year, but I'm going to teach you all the things they're not teaching you here at Drake. I'm going to teach you about public speaking and goal setting and vision work and affirmations and personal development and self-esteem and communication, listening and speaking, and all these soft arts that they're not teaching you. And we're going to build your network while you're a freshman, and maybe you'll make $100 a month or $200 a month, which is, that I thought that'd be pretty cool as a freshman, right? Have a few $100 a month. And then we're going to do the same thing when you're a sophomore. Maybe you'll make a little bit more, and we're going to do the same thing when you're a junior, and you'll make more. And when you're a senior, and you'll make even more. And the objective was your 5th year. So now you're out of college. But instead of having to take a job, you have enough income from the network marketing concept that we've been building the last 4 years that you have options. You have independence, you have freedom. So you could, go travel Europe or Africa or South America, or you could work in the Peace Corps, or, maybe, we were in Des Moines, Iowa, maybe you could go work on your grandparents' farm and learn from them for a year. Do something besides get stuck in a job, right? And
just have more options.
Right. And then after you've seen the world for a year or two, then decide what you want to do. But I mean, all of you that are listening, think about when you were 21 or 22 years old, before you made a decision about your career in life, including where you're going to live. What if you had, in today's dollars, $4,000 or $5,000 a month every month coming in residual income? What kind of decisions would you have made differently with your life?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's crazy the trajectory of life that would be different if graduates from college had financial independence when they graduated. I'm not talking about rich. I'm just talking about enough money so you don't have to take a job. When you graduate from college, you don't have any overhead, right? You don't probably own a home and have 3 car payments and 3 kids. So you have independence with maybe 3 or 4 or 5 grand a month. And so people think the 4-year career was written because it takes 4 years to build a network marketing business. It was written, the 4-year career, because I mapped it on to a college education so that the 5th year you would graduate. Now, it just so happens, I didn't know at the time, but it just so happens I have studied hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of very successful network marketers. And here's kind of the way it goes for most of them. The first 2 years, they recruit a lot of people. Almost all of them quit. So they might recruit like 100 people, and 90 of them will quit. And 10 of them will do something. And 3 or 4 of them will build something. And if you watch that whole thing duplicate and grow, it grows over the 3rd year, it grows over the 4th year, and by the 5th year, people have a significant income. I mean, some people it might be $3,000 a month, some people it might be 13, some people it might be 30. I've interviewed people in their 5th year making $400,000 a month.
Sure.
In a legitimate legacy company. It's just a very, very powerful income model. Now, is it true that almost everybody fails? Yes, it is true. It's almost everybody quits. 95% quit. But it's not unlike the dream of being a professional athlete, right? So if you get an NFL contract as a football player and you get past your rookie season, you get into the second or third year, you're going to get a contract for $3, $4, $5, $10 million. You're going to be That's enough money to be financially independent the rest of your life. But how many kids pursue an NFL career and how many make it?
Very little.
Yes. But that doesn't invalidate the dream or the possibility, right? Should we tell everybody that wants to be a professional athlete, oh, forget it, hardly anybody makes it. Don't even try it, right? It's like telling your kid who wants to be an Olympic athlete, oh, well, I want to win the gold medal in figure skating. Well, honey, I'm sorry to tell you, but, in the United States, there's 300 million people, and only one every 4 years even has the possibility of earning a gold medal, and they usually don't. So the odds of you getting a gold medal are really ridiculously, honey, forget it.
Okay.
We don't do that, right?
That would not be great parenting.
We champion people's dreams. So that's why the 4-year career, to finish answering your question. That's why it's 4 years. Why did I write it? But for this reason. I found, like in my experience, when Steve just did that thing and Dan did that thing on the chalkboard, I found that was a very archaic and confusing way to show the model. Because what kept me from being interested is, no matter how it was presented, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how it worked and why it worked. And my personality is such that if I'm going to do something, I want to understand. So I'm a pilot. And what's important to me about being a pilot is I understand how an airplane flies. Mm-hmm. I understand what happens to an airplane if the engine goes out. Most people think if the engine goes out, everyone dies, right? It's actually not true at all. If the engine goes out, probably nobody dies. In fact, there's a lot of pilots that could land a commercial airliner, both engines out or all 4 engines out, and nobody on board would even know the engines are out.
Oh my goodness.
So I like to understand things like that, right? It gives me confidence. So the way people explain network marketing did not make sense to me. And the way most people pitched network marketing was, it's all, let me tell you about this product, this miracle product, does all this crazy stuff. And that was all fine and good, but the reality is, it doesn't matter what people say about a product. It either works for you or it doesn't. If it doesn't work for you, you can't be a network marketer. This is not something where you can drive your Mercedes to work selling BMWs and pull your Mercedes up on the back lot and walk out front and sell BMWs. You can't do that in network marketing. This is an authentic raving fan business model. You're either a product of the product or you're out. You can't do this. It only works if you're an authentic customer. So it doesn't really matter what people say about the product and all the miracle stuff. Try it for a month. If you love it, you're qualified. If you don't love it, you're not qualified. End of story. So people would spend a lot of time pitching the product, which didn't make any sense to me because I'm like, why don't I just try it? If it works, that's all I care about. And then people would spend a lot of time hyping the company, and I didn't really care about the company. I cared about the model. And so in my recruiting, Minky, I found I had a lot of failure when I spent a lot of time talking about the product and a lot of time talking about the company. And if I ever showed them the compensation plan, the actual compensation plan, I just got a glazed over, I don't understand this. This looks like a pyramid scheme. Why? Because compensation plans are very complicated. And they're not designed for somebody who doesn't understand what they're looking at. to understand them. And so I created the 4-year career as a way to educate somebody. How does this actually work? How does the model actually work? Why does it work? How does it work? What do you have to do to make it work? And then if it does work, what are the payoffs? And I found when I designed the 4-year career, which I started doing for these students at Drake University, and then I perfected it over the next few years, that's when I built my sales organization, because I could enroll just about anyone. If somebody wanted to make more money and they liked me, I could enroll them because of the way I explained it. And so for the next, well, it's been 45 years now. So for 43 years, if somebody asked me to show them the opportunity, I show them the 4-year career. I show them the products, but what I tell them about the products is, this is what they do for me. Here's how you use them. Try them. If they work, we got something to talk about. If they don't work, we got nothing to talk about. Here's the company, whatever company, but all the presentation time is on the 4-year career.
Is choosing the right company important then?
Hugely important, but who the owner is and how big their building is and all the accolades of the company, none of that really matters. There's only one thing that matters: how long they've been in business.
Okay.
That's it. How long they've been in business. Now, their values and their philosophies have to be a match for you. So whoever the owner is and however he or she does business and whatever their philosophies are, that has to be a match. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to tell that in a presentation. That's more something you learn after you've been around a while.
I see, yes.
But the most important thing about a company is how long they've been in business. Why? Because network marketing companies are like restaurants or any other business. 99% of them go out of business. So you join a network marketing company because your friend says this is so awesome, join it. But what you don't realize, because you're ignorant and naive about the business model and the profession, is that you may join that company and you may get to the point where I got, where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go crazy and tell everybody. And you may go tell everybody, and you may actually recruit some people. And then, like happened to me, company goes out of business. So why did my first company go out of business? Well, they'd only been in business about a year. My first company went out of business 9 months after I joined. They'd only been in business a year. I never asked. And probably what the people would be promoting if the company had only been in business a year is, this is a ground floor opportunity.
Yes, of course.
Somebody says ground floor opportunity, you need to run.
Oh,
Run
goodness,
for the
I'm in front of a wave.
run for the no. So, every company that's been around 20 or 30 years was a ground floor opportunity. And yes, if you have the courage, if you have the resilience, if you have the risk tolerance, go for it. But just know, no matter what company you join, if they've only been in business 5 years, 99% of them are going out of business. In the next 10 years, the odds are 99 to 1, that thing's going out of business. So everything you built, gone. All the promises you made people, gone. All the relationship, all the trust, gone. Your reputation, gone. Devastating. Most important thing in network marketing. Well, the product is the most important thing, because you don't make any money unless the product works, and works forever. So we'll put them all onto. Number one is the product. Number two is the future probability, sustainability, and growth of the company. How do you know if the company's going to grow? Well, you can base your decision on promises. So if you interview a lot of people that are in network marketing, about, well, tell me about your company. They'll say things like, we're going to be the next billion-dollar company. We're going to change the industry, and we're going to this, and we're going to that. Where do they get all that? They get it from the ownership and the management and the upline that are hyping. All the company has is promises because they don't have any proof.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make your decision based on proof. Proof is track record. You want to know how long this thing's going to be in business, how it's going to grow? Look at the history. Look at the track record. The longer it's been in business, the better the odds are it's going to stay in business. So there's some legacy companies like Amway and Shackley and Nu Skin and Herbalife and Mary Kay and Forever Living Products and doTERRA and Young Living and I don't know, there's a bunch of them. You know, they've been in business 20 to 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going out of business.
Yep.
So if you were going to build something, wouldn't it make sense to build it in something that wasn't going to go out of business? Now, I know that's a very unpopular stance with people that are in newer companies. Sorry. And does that mean that your startup company is not going to become a... No, it might. And if it becomes a billion-dollar company, yeah, you were on the ground floor. But that's kind of like investing all of your money in a startup penny stock, right?
So a lot of people think that, okay, now the company's been around for so long, so by the time I join, everybody is going to be already in, or it will get saturated. Is that even possible?
Well, mathematically it's possible, but what I say to people that think that is, okay, so let's say I was talking to you and I'm telling you about my company, and you say, well, you know, if you've been around 30 years, everybody's already in. Well, then I would ask you, how many people do you know that are building a sales organization in my company? How many people do you know?
Well, 0.
Right. So even if I said Amway, which is the biggest company in the world, how many people do you know that are building a sales organization in Amway?
No one.
Well, I know a couple. I know a few.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask me, you know, I've been doing this 45 years
Yes.
full time. If you ask me, name 10 people that you know that are building a sales organization in Amway, I couldn't do it. If you said name 10 people that are building an Herbalife, I couldn't do that either. Now, I could run a report of my customers and my clients, my coaching clients, and people that have bought programs from me, and yeah, but I don't know them personally. I wouldn't. I only know them because they're in my database. Jim Elliott, who lives right down the golf course to me, he's been retired from Amway for 25 years. I know him. He doesn't currently build, but he qualifies as somebody who's already in, saturated. But I would make the point about Jim Elliott. Jim Elliott's been retired from Amway for 25 years. South Korea in Amway is under Jim Elliott. Jim Elliott's Amway sales organization does about $2 billion a year.
Wow.
So, I
That's
don't know.
a good pension.
Yeah. You know, and if people are religious, a lot of people are religious, I could say, you know, there was a guy a couple thousand years ago, which is a long time to be building a network marketing company, started a network marketing company 2,000 years ago. He personally enrolled 12 guys on his front line. And they started enrolling, and they have weekly meetings, just like network marketing companies. Sometimes they have weekly meetings twice a week. And they're open in every country in the world. And they are by far the largest network marketing company in the world.
Absolutely.
It's called Christianity. And they don't have everybody yet.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even remotely have everybody yet. I think still 2/3 of the world are Buddhists or Muslims or something. So is it possible? Yes. Is it practical? No. And it doesn't even matter. So some people say, well, what would be wrong with my network marketing company recruiting everybody in the world?
Mm-hmm.
That would be saturation. as the owner of a network marketing company or a sales leader, I would think that's a good thing. Everybody in the world is in my company.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So it's a objection, kind of like pyramid scheme. People that don't understand network marketing throw that one at people.
Mm-hmm.
Saturation, it's a pyramid scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the thing about a pyramid scheme is whoever's telling you it's a pyramid scheme, they can't even define what a pyramid scheme is. The federal government cannot even define what a pyramid scheme is. The federal government doesn't, in the United States, doesn't even have any laws that outlaw pyramid schemes. It's a slang term.
Mm-hmm.
It's not well defined.
Yes.
Now, there are companies that operate in that slang, but not most network marketing companies. It's very, very few.
Especially if they've been around for a long time.
Yes.
So coming back to where you started, you were explaining everything about how you failed time and time again. So how did you grow through that? Was it just honestly believing in this model?
Well, I grew through it in two ways. I grew through it by learning the model. So, you know, whatever you do for a living, if you're in banking, if you're in investments, if you're in insurance, if you're in medicine, if you're in transportation, if you're in hospitality, there can be all kinds of opposition to your model. You know, take banking, for example. The banking industry is the number one prosecuted and fined industry in the United States.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Bank of America is the number one indicted and fined for fraud company in the United States. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. Wells Fargo, all of them. Does that mean banking is bad?
No.
Well, banking's actually sort of necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But to an outsider who would just read all of that press, you might think, oh my gosh, the banking industry in the United States is fraudulent. Well, it's the most fraudulent industry in the United States. But if you're in the banking industry and you want to make banking your profession, do you fall victim to that press, to that propaganda, or do you learn about the banking industry?
Mm-hmm.
And do you learn, well, how's it done right? And how is it done wrong? And how do you do it right? And how can I make my career in banking? And so what I've done with network marketing, yes, network marketing has a bad reputation, but it doesn't even show up on the radar of the, I think I did an article that is, I think it's on this Facebook page. I think it's the top 100 companies that have been fined for fraud in the United States. The top 100 companies. And they've been fined, I think, a total of about $500 billion. And there's not one network marketing company on that list. So network marketing doesn't even show up on the radar as criminal enterprises in the United States, although it has a horrible reputation. But so what I've done, because I decided, okay, I'm going to do this, even though it has a bad reputation, I'm going to do it anyway. What did I do? I studied it. I studied it inside out, frontwards, and backwards. There's probably not any question you could ask me about network marketing, about the industry, about the companies, about the history, about the model, the finances, the regulatory, the legal aspect, products. You probably can't stump me. I know network marketing inside out, frontwards, and backwards. Why? It's my profession. Mm-hmm. So when you learn your profession from the inside out and you learn with the objective of, I'm going to learn how to do it right, then the propaganda, the negativity, the rumors, that doesn't It doesn't bother you. So you take anybody here that's in banking or oil and gas, anybody watching in the oil and gas industry, where you're the second most fraudulent industry in the world. And you know, if you're in those professions, it doesn't bother you that companies pay billions and billions and billions of fines, because you're probably working to do it right. And there's so much upside. So network marketing has a horrible reputation. But the upside of network marketing, the good side of network marketing, outshadows the dark side 100 to 1. And so I've made it my mission to understand how it works, why it works, and how to do it right. And then the other part that I've worked on is me. So I've spent the last 45 years working on me, working on my attitude, working on my education, working on my philosophies. So I'm not even remotely the same person that worked in the chicken plant. So today I'm not a pessimist, I'm an optimist. I'm not cynical. I'm open-minded. I'm a people person. Even though I love my privacy and I love solitude, I have learned to be fascinated by and appreciate other people's life, like your life in South Africa. The fact that you live in post-apartheid, is it post-apartheid or apartheid?
It is post-apartheid.
Yeah, so you live in reverse discrimination. So you're a Caucasian in South Africa, and you are discriminated against in South Africa because you're white.
True that.
You can't get the good jobs in South Africa because you're white. Right?
Which makes network marketing such an excellent
It
opportunity.
does make a great opportunity for South Africans.
For anybody.
But isn't that fascinating, right? Because most of us grew up in this paradigm of the people in the world that are discriminated against are people of color. You go to South Africa and the people that are discriminated against are white, thanks to, what's his name?
Yeah. Well,
what was his name?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela, yes.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
a great man. And he fought for his people, and they took back their country. And all of you white people that invaded it from England or wherever you came from,
Holland.
from Holland, yes, you should all go home.
400 years later.
400 years later, right? So that, fascinates me. People fascinate me, and they didn't used to fascinate me. And so I am a case for all of us can change. We can change our attitudes. We can change our beliefs. We can change everything about us. Not that we need to, and not that we should, but if we're not getting what we want in life, then you might have to change.
So what are some of you just said that you worked a lot on yourself. Was there any favorite books, any recordings, anything that you listened to that helped you to develop yourself?
Well, I had a great advantage over people today. The disadvantage people have today in personal development is the disadvantage of choice. There are literally thousands and thousands of books and audios and videos and personal development programs that are very affordable. And I had about 6 books. That's all there was. There wasn't any more to study. I had, as you told me you studied, I had The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. I've listened to The Strangest Secret thousands of times. And I would attest that anyone who listened to The Strangest Secret 1,000 times is going to be successful at whatever they pursue.
Absolutely.
The problem with people today is most people, probably even watching this broadcast, have never even heard of The Strangest Secret because it, was recorded 50 years ago. But not because of that. I mean, you heard of the Bible, and that was written thousands of years ago. Why haven't you heard of The Strangest Secret written 50 years ago? Because there's so many options. So when there's so many options, it takes the focus off what I call the classics. So the classics that I studied, because it's all there was. Think and Grow Rich, and I had to read it because it wasn't on Audible. The Magic of Thinking Big, Claude Bristol. The Magic in Believing, or maybe that's Claude Bristol, The Magic in Believing. David Schwartz maybe is The Magic in Thinking Big. How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success by Frank Betcher.
I'm taking notes.
The two audios that I listened to thousands of times was The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale and The Power of Goal Setting by Paul J. Meyer. Power of Goal Setting by Paul J. Meyer thousands and thousands of times. I'd listen to that 30-minute presentation with one of those breadbox cassette recorder things, seat of my car, in my house. You know, in the days of building before the internet, sometimes I would drive 2, 3, 4 hours to do an evening meeting.
Sure.
And then turn around and drive home. And so that whole way, Paul J. Meyer right in the passenger seat.
So I suppose you were able to really just follow along and just say it out loud with him. I remember with Earl Nightingale, that was how I did it. It was in my car continuously, and I would actually speak it out loud as he was saying things.
Yep.
And that also built my belief system in such a big way.
Yeah, if you can memorize, or if you have memorized The Strangest Secret, such that you know everything he's going to say, then you actually are Earl Nightingale.
Yes.
You have become him. And if you are Earl Nightingale, then the attitude that you would have about whatever endeavor you're pursuing is an attitude of, I'm going to be successful.
I remember Jim Rohn, one of my favorites. He said that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And at some stage in my life, I looked at my average and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going nowhere slowly. So then it dawned on me, no, it's not, because I spend time with Earl Nightingale every single day. And I spend time with T. Harv Eker, and I spend time with Jim Rohn. And that actually brings my average up.
Yeah, it's not the 5, it's not the average of your 5 best friends or the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's not even 5, it's just you and I are products of who do we pay attention to? Who do we listen to? Who do we learn from?
Yep.
So, you know, you may spend half your life with your girlfriends who have all kinds of different viewpoints. But if you don't adopt those viewpoints, they don't have any influence on you other than the entertainment.
That's true.
So that quote is always a little misleading, but you have it precisely nailed. It's you and I become who we pay attention to, who we learn from, who we give authority to coach us. So, you can listen to lots of people, but if you don't give authority to them to teach you, then it's just words. It's who we give authority to teach us.
And one thing I also found was that sometimes you can have all the knowledge, and people would say knowledge is power, but it's not. Applied knowledge is power. So you can read the books, but if you don't start applying it into your life, you'll just stay stuck right where you are. So still with self-confidence, if somebody just started, so they are totally brand new to network marketing and they have no proof that it's going to work for them, how can they speak to others about this option with confidence and belief?
Yeah, great question, and it's a question that a lot of new people have. How do I tell people about this? How do I show people this if I haven't made any money? And there's a very simple answer to it. First of all, tell the truth. Don't try to represent that you're making money if you're not, even if you're brand new, or maybe you've been at it 2 years. If you've been at it 2 years and you're still not making money, don't pretend you're making money. Just tell the truth. Because if you're not making money and you've been at it 2 years, the truth is you may have been in for 2 years, but you've not been doing what you've been taught to do for 2 years. No way. If you do what you're taught to do, you will be successful at this. It's a pretty simple model. So if you take responsibility for it, so let's say you're talking to somebody. Well, I've been in this for 2 years, but I got to tell you, Minky, I'm not doing very well. But the reason I'm not doing very well is I have not been doing what they're teaching me to do. And now I'm starting. So you can say, I just read a book, I just listened to an audio, I just went to a meeting, I just went through a program, I just whatever. I had an epiphany. From this day forward, I'm going to be doing this. So that's a transparent, authentic presentation. I'm telling you the truth, but I'm not leaving my truth with you as a depressing fact. I haven't been doing anything for 2 years. I'm not making any money. Join me. Why would you join me if I'm not doing anything? I have to declare that I've made a change, right? And then the stories I tell are not mine. They're my uplines.
So you borrow from them.
You borrow from anybody in your upline because it doesn't matter what company you're in. In most cases, unless the company's been around for a month or 2 or 3 or a year. But if your company's been around for 4 or 5 or 6 years and it's a legitimate company, somebody in your upline's making 50 or 100 grand a month.
Absolutely.
Somebody's in your upline's making 10 grand a month. Somebody in your upline's making 5. There's a lot of people making 500. Go find those stories and tell those stories. So, like, one of the things I've always done, which I encourage you to do in your visit here, is every time I got around somebody in my career that was doing something that I admired, I interviewed them and I recorded it. And I gave it to my team. Hey, listen to this person. Listen to this person's story. So you mentioned you've studied Road to Diamond, which that's a particular company, but I've interviewed 50 people in Road to Diamond that they've built a business worth 2, 3, 4 million, 10 million, 20 million. And so what do you do with those interviews?
You study them.
Study them. So you don't have to have a story. There's so many stories in your company. Just go borrow them. Go interview them.
And
Even if, like, one of the things you could do is just make part of your business strategy every week. Find somebody in your company. It doesn't matter if they're in your upline or you can find anybody. You can find somebody in a different company. It doesn't matter. If you call somebody that's successful up and say, hey, can I interview you? Almost everybody will go, well, sure. You want to interview me? And you just get them on Zoom. Ask them questions for 30 minutes. Get them to tell their story. Now you got a video. Send it to your team. Every week, you got a new inspirational video for your team. You can do that 52 weeks a year for free.
That is brilliant. Brilliant. Like I said, you could stay up all night and not think about it yourself. So, yeah, thanks for that great tip. I wanted to ask you one question that you almost ask in every interview, and that is, throughout your career, obviously every career comes with ups and downs. What mistakes that you make that if you could say to somebody, avoid that mistake, or perhaps go for the mistake because we learn more from making mistakes? What would that mistake be, and what would the lesson that went with it? What would that be?
Well, there's 2 ways to answer that question, but I prefer to answer it this way. If I had not made every mistake I've made in the last 45 years, I would not be here talking to you.
Wow.
We are the result of all of our decisions. So if I'd have done something different 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, then it would have set my life in this trajectory. And in this trajectory, all the things that are part of my life today. So Kimmy is part of my life. If you traced back my life, you could say, well, you would have never met Kimmy if you hadn't made a mistake.
That's
True, right? So, and we live here in paradise. Why? I would never live here if I hadn't met Kimmy. I'm not saying that where I lived was not a great place, but I'm here because I met Kimmy. I sold my company because I met a guy named Adam Green. I mean, every mistake I've made has either given me wisdom and insight, to have empathy for other people, to be able to coach other people, to make wiser decisions in the future. And it's led me to where I am. So I don't regret anything I've done. I have a grand appreciation for every mistake. Now, you know, if I was coaching someone and I saw them about to make a mistake that I made, I might point out to them that, you know, if you considered this versus that, it's not that the mistake route is a bad choice. It's just going to give you some drama and trauma. So I believe with every adversity comes the seed of equal or greater benefit, and I believe that adversity is the way for most of us. It's where we get our stories. I believe all that. So if somebody's about to make a mistake, I might say, you know, if you went this route, things might be smoother. You might earn more money. You might be happier. But of course, most people about to make a decision, they don't change their decision based on what somebody else tells them. Right? Most of us have to learn the hard way.
That's true. We just have to look at our children to see that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. What are some of the things I might do different? Well, if I knew better, yeah, well, it's just a perfect example. So, if I knew better, I would have joined a network marketing company that had been in business 20 years. Instead, I joined one that went out of business 9 years later. And then the second one I joined, I built this huge team and had this extraordinary residual income. But 12 years later, it went out of business. So, but if it hadn't have gone out of business, I would have never bought my own network marketing company, which I owned for 30 years. So I could tell the younger me, hey, don't join those startups. Join Amway or Herbalife or Nu Skin or something. But who knows how that would have turned out? So I don't know. I prefer to answer that question. There are no mistakes. There's just education and opportunity
And feedback.
Yeah, right.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So, I've got about 2 questions left.
Ask them quick.
Okay, so the first one is people that just start. Most of the time, they feel they go into total overwhelm. It's the products, it's the compensation plan, it's to understand the website. What can you tell that person so that they can earn or see the benefits of the income option sooner?
Yeah, good question, because there's so much that people eventually have to learn that we think they need to learn it now. So, for example, if I enrolled you in network marketing today, you don't need to know the compensation plan. You don't need to know anything about the compensation plan. Not now. You need to know the 4-year career, so how does this model work? But all you need to know is a model that I would show you, because I know the compensation plan. So what I'm going to guide you to do in your first month is build something that gets you paid. But I don't want you looking at the compensation plan to try to figure that out, because if
that
you
would be so overwhelming.
Well, because you can't. Compensation plans are not shown. Okay, you're brand new, so we're only going to show you the first rank. That's how we should do it. If you're brand new, you can only see the first rank. You can't see the second rank until you get to the first rank.
Okay.
That's the way we should do it. But we don't. The whole plan's there because everybody wants to show their 12 different ways to get paid, and we have all these fancy bonuses. It's really stupid because people look at it and they get overwhelmed and they think they can't do it, and we should spoon feed it. But if I'm your sponsor, I'm going to take control of that. I'm going to say, don't worry about the compensation plan. Don't even look at it. I'll coach you on the plan. Here's what you need to do your first month. So that's going to be packaged with what do you want to earn? What's your ambition, right? So if you tell me, I just want to try the products and I just want to kind of get my feet wet, I'm not going to show you a plan where you make $1,000 your first month. But if you tell me, I'm going to crush this, I know everybody will listen to me, I know the first 50 people I'm going to talk to, well, I might show you a plan where you can make $1,000 your first month. So based on your ambition, your credibility, your contacts, before I give you a plan, we're going to talk about who you know. So who do you know? Who are your friends? Who are your colleagues? What's your relationship with them? If you asked any of these people to watch a video about this opportunity, would they do it? Tell me. And if you say, I don't know. Okay, well, we got to start slow. Right? Because what that tells me is you don't have a lot of credibility with your friends. That's okay. But if you tell me, of course, everybody I know would watch this video, then you have a lot of credibility with your friends. That's a different plan. But I'm going to show you a plan so that, because, most companies, companies pay daily, weekly, but most companies have some kind of payment. The bulk of the payment, they pay monthly. So if you join, so this is June, right? So I want you to max out what you can do in June, so you get a check in July. You get a payment. You get a post to your debit card or however you get paid. I want you to get paid in July based on what you do in June. And then I want you to get paid in August based on what you do in July. And I want you to paid in September based on what you do in August. And I'm going to map that out for you. And it's going to just baby step you to what we call in the profession the building block. So there's one particular rank in all comp plans that can be defined as the building block, where it's a rank that anybody could achieve in 2 or 3 months. 2 or 3 months of intense coaching, support. I'm working with you hands-on. We're locked arms. We're running together. I'm working with you. I'm working with your people. We're going to get you to this rank. And that rank, it differs in every company, but let's say it's a rank that requires $2,000 or $3,000 in monthly volume, and will pay you, let's say, $500, as long as you qualify for that rank. So what I'm going to teach you to do is get to that rank in a month, 2 months, 3 months. And then what we do is we teach your people to get to that rank. And then we teach their people to get to the rank. So it's not about you trying to get to all these higher ranks. How you get to the higher ranks is you get people to the lower rank. And you keep the comp plan really focused on that lower rank so that everybody coming in is just focused on, I'm going to get to that building block rank. It's a 3-month program. That's the system. Everybody just does that. And if I'll keep you focused on that, I have a higher chance of you succeeding. Nobody quits their network marketing company making $500 a month.
Wow, okay, that's true.
People quit their network marketing company spending $500 and not making anything. So job number one as your sponsor is I've got to cash flow you. So if you spent $150 on your kit, job number one is to get your $150 back. I get your $150 back, you're not going to quit. Not this week. I make you another $150, you're not quitting that week either. The week or the month that you'll quit is when you've got a month and you didn't get paid.
This is powerful.
So my job
Keep
is
it simple and help them to get paid.
just get paid.
Okay.
Anything. Somebody, in the old days, everybody got checks. People used to come in the old days, they'd come to the meetings with a check for $5. New people. And they'd hold it up. And they'd say, look, I got paid $5. It wasn't the $5 that they were excited about. They were actually excited of course, pre-internet, the world was a much bigger place, right? So the company that I was building was based in Oklahoma City. And so people from all over North America were sending their money to this company in Oklahoma City. They had no way of looking that company up. It's hard for pre-internet people to understand pre-internet. But there's no thing you can type in and show me the company and show me the management team and show me their products and show me their corporate office and let me, check into there's no way to check. You don't even know the buildings there. There's no Google Earth. So people actually celebrated the fact that they were building this thing kind of based on faith that there was actually a company somewhere that would send them money. And when they got the money, their conviction took a quantum leap, because basically what they said to themselves is, well, if they'll send me $5, they'll send me 500, and if they'll send me 500, they'll send me 5,000. This thing works. Mm-hmm. So just get people paid. Anything, get them paid, and don't let them wallow in the comp plan. You show them the comp plan. You show them, Minky, the kit's $150. In the next 30 days, we need to get 4 people that you know to buy the kit. So let's spread out on the table everybody you know. Show them to me. Show me your contacts. Show me your Facebook. Show me your Instagram. Who do you know? Who are your... one of the questions I ask people is, give me a list of the top 20 people that you know will watch the video just because you asked. Mm-hmm. That's all. I don't want to know if they can sell. I don't want to know if you think they'll do it. I don't care about that. Will they watch the video because you asked? And those are the first 20 people we're going after. Because I know if I can get 20 people to watch the video, we can get 4 of them in.
Okay.
So you and I, you bring the people, you bring the credibility. I don't have any credibility, but I bring the mastery of the business. I'm the expert. So we partner. Your market, your credibility, your enthusiasm, my expertise, we partner until you can walk, because you're a baby. And if you did it by yourself, if I didn't help you, you would be
full over.
And then you'd quit. I got to get you where you can walk and get paid. And then you'd be surprised how fast you can do it yourself, which, you've already learned that. You got 150 great people on your team, and you've made this work, and it's growing. You're way beyond walking.
One last question. So just from you starting to tell your story in the beginning, who you were and who you've grown into, we can now say that anybody can really, if they know that they can change who they are and they can learn the skills, they can do it. But what is the one golden rule, the one thing that if you just focus on that every single day, you are guaranteed of success?
Personal development. So the way I like to teach it is red lights, yellow lights, green lights. So whatever it is you and I want to do, so let's say you want to build a network marketing business, you have to have a green light story about building the business. What's a green light story? It's a story that sounds like, I'm going to do this. This is going to work. This is going to be fun. People are going to follow me. I'm going to learn this. It's all green lights. If your story sounds like, I'm going to try this and I'm going to see how it works, it's a yellow light story. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work. You're going to manifest.
Exactly that.
Right. A red light story would be, I really want to do this, but I don't believe it will work. I don't believe I can. I don't believe people will listen to me. There's so many people in network marketing that love their products. They love the people. They love the idea of making money, But the truth is, they still hate network marketing. Hate's a strong word. They can't own it. They have a red light vision around it. They can talk about the products, but they can't talk about the model. They still come from, part of a red light vision is if you were raised in a conservative household, you can't talk to other people about money. It's rude. It's insensitive. It's taboo. You can't do it, right? Whereas me as a network marketer, if I'm talking to you, I'm going to ask you about your money. I'm going to ask you how long you've been doing that for a living. Is it paying you what you want it to pay you? Is your retirement set up to retire you when you want to retire? Are you buying things that you're able to buy? Are you able to send your kids to college? That's not going to first thing I'm going to ask you, but I don't have any qualms at all about asking people about their money. But if you're like raised in a religion or a culture where it's none of your business to ask people about their money, that's a red light story. And that's where you have your foot nailed to the floor. You may want to be successful in network marketing, but if you can't talk about money, if you can't talk about abundance, if you don't feel like you deserve it, a lot of people want it. Everybody's wanter works, not everybody's getter works. And if your getter doesn't work, it's because you got a story that's a red light or yellow light story. So the one thing that you have to do to be successful in network marketing is you have to work on yourself. You have to feed yourself green light stories. You have to study other people's success story. You have to study success principles. You have to do some introspective work in what is your story? What is that hidden story? Where do you have your foot nailed to the floor? Mm-hmm. There's an age-old story about training elephants. So in the beginning, the circus trains an elephant by putting a chain around the elephant's leg. And so for the whole time the elephant's growing up in the circus, every time it, tries to go outside the boundary, that chain pulls on the leg, even probably cuts the leg some, the shackle. But after some period of time, some years, I don't know, months, they can take that chain off. And the elephant's not going anywhere. Why? Because it's deeply ingrained the story in the elephant's mind that if it goes beyond the boundary, they can put like a light rope or a string or something. And as long as it feels something there, it's triggered that it's still bound by the chain. And we're all bound by those chains. And so you got to figure out what's your red light, what's your yellow light. Number one thing, every day, read, listen, inquire. Read, listen, inquire. And grow. Grow your red light and yellow light stories into green lights, and you'll find abundance. You'll find the fast track to abundance.
Oh, Richard, thank you so much. This was fascinating, and really I've learned so much, and I enjoyed it. I was nervous to interview you, but I actually enjoyed every second of it. I'm going to send this to every single person on my team, and I think it's a great tool. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
And thank you all for, I don't know how long you hung in there because this went on forever, right? But this is my daily dose of salt, so do with it what you may. Hey, Lisa Yates Black, thank you. Hey, Janine, North Queensland, Australia. See you guys tomorrow.